Hello Victory Willow Glen, this is Mr. Black, your Chief Instructor. Today we're bringing you a video tip on the proper way to tie your black belt recommended. I have Mr. O'Dario and Mr. Ballor assisting me today. They're going to be demonstrating for you. Now to start, they're going to start by having their belts with one side of their belt on their right hip. From here, they're going to wrap the rest of their belt behind their back, going over the top of that first layer. They then do it again. So by now, they're going to have their base layer, then they're going to have a middle section, and then they have their top layer. They're going to take that top section of their belt, tuck it underneath the bottom, and pull it up through the top. Now at this point, before they go to tie their belt knot, they want to make sure that their right side is just slightly longer than their left side of their belt. From here, Mr. Ballor is going to loop it underneath, bring this right side all the way around into the hole, and then he pulls it nice and tight. If you get it correct, you should have a square knot pointing out to the left side. Okay, now going over some common mistakes that you might encounter during tying your black belt. They're going to untie their belt one more time. Now one of the first mistakes that some students run into when tying their belt is when you wrap your belt around, you want to make sure even in the back it stays nice and flat, especially with the kids. They rush and then they start getting all these twists in there. That's going to make it very difficult to tie it the right way. So you want to make sure this stays nice and flat. Then he continues to wrap it around. Good. Okay, now the next mistake that is very common is when they go to tuck this part of the belt up and underneath. We see a lot of the kids where they'll grab their belt and they put it like this, and then they try and jam it up in there. But what happens is sometimes they end up getting twists in their belt. That's going to make a mistake later on when they go to tie their final knot. So you want to make sure, instead of trying to put it in from the bottom here, you just want to take your hand and just push it up underneath using your fingers. That'll prevent a lot of those twists and turns. Okay, and then the final mistake that we usually see when tying our belt, besides having your belt be one side very long, one side short, is as we go to finish this knot, we see a lot of students who they'll get, again, little twists and turns in their belt. Okay, and that's going to make it not look quite so well. Instead, what we want to do is make sure it's nice and flat. This side comes up and in. And even right here, you want to watch out for this part of the belt being twisted. Instead, I lay it out, make sure both flat sides of the belt are facing up towards the ceiling, and then I just pull it nice and neat. And again, if you do it the right way, you're going to end up with a perfectly tied Victory black belt.